Hi, welcome to Business Influencers. I'm your host, Chris Salem. Hope everyone is having a great week. And if you are new to our show, you found us here at TALRadio, the Touch of Life Foundation. We've been on the Touch of Life Foundation's podcast platform now for almost 4 years. God, it's hard to believe how time flies. When we started the show during the height of COVID, it's hard to believe it's been that long ago and how time flies. We hope everyone's having a great week. And today's show is being brought to you today by Alumni Direct. Alumni Direct is a new social media community platform dedicated to bringing alumni together from all different generational types and an opportunity to meet new people for the first time. Now, it is a membership program taking out all the noise out of social media, where you get to come in and generate genuine and authentic relationships with the people you choose to interact with. And as a member, you're also eligible for other types of services not available to the general public to help move you personally and professionally to the next level. If you'd like some more information about Alumni Direct, check them out at alumnidirect.com. That's alumnidirect.com. And also let everybody, if you are new to the show, make sure, again, you could also follow us on Apple, Spotify, and, of course, YouTube, in addition, here at the TALRadio platform, part of the Touch of Life Foundation. Well, we got a great show for you today. We are excited about talking about this topic. As many of you know, me personally, I am really big into goal setting, and not just setting any type of goals. Well, we're going to be hearing about beyond syntax, why rewriting goals isn't enough for real transformation. We're going to be with our subject matter expert here today, Philipp Schett. He's the CEO and founder of Wave9, the leading OKR consultancy worldwide. He has grown into seven-figure business, heading towards 8. But Phil isn't just one more strategy guy from a fancy framework. He's an ex-Microsoft and Meta executive who's flipped the traditional OKR model upside down with his distinctive blend of precision engineering and American optimism. Yes, a German national establishing and management consulting company in the United States. Philipp has overseen more than 300 implementations for organizations ranging from mid-sized nonprofits to Fortune 10 giants with more than 150K employees. Now, I could keep going on and on and on because he's done such great things, but you're going to be finding out more about this gentleman here shortly. And without further ado, we welcome Philipp Schett to the show. Philipp, how you doing today?
Thank you. Doing great. And thanks for having me. And thanks for the great introduction.
Thank you. It is a pleasure to have you here. And, we love with this topic here at Business Influencers when it comes to, how to rewrite goals, why rewriting them isn't enough for real transformation. Can you share with us, I guess, what is the issue with goal setting, with goals in itself? Why a lot of times people may not fulfill their goals as planned, or they get distracted, or something else gets in the way. We'd love to hear your sights on that and your process and how we could go about getting beyond that.
Absolutely. Everyone sets goals. Everyone, almost everyone does. And for sure, most of your listeners and viewers are setting goals. And now here I come and tell them, oh, you're probably not doing it really, really optimal, or maybe there's something you can learn. And that took me quite a while to understand myself. So Wave9 is a consultancy of 15, 20 consultants now. And you might be surprised, right? Hey, how in the world can 15 or 20 consultants live from helping other people set goals, right? Because it's something everyone does. It's something that should be really, really simple. But we have found out that, hey, everyone's setting the same goals. And no matter if they are winners or losers, often they are setting the same type of goals. They are setting a goal like, okay, we want to win, or we want to increase our revenue. We want to get new clients. And those goals are often relatively, meaningless very, very quickly, because they tell you maybe an ambition level. They tell you maybe, okay, that's how high of a bar we want to raise, but they don't really give you any information as a team of what to actually prioritize and how to get there. And so the way we structure our goals is we use a methodology called objectives and key result, but that's at the end of syntax, right? You can you can almost call anything objectives and key results. So we will get into that later for sure. But at the end, it's not about changing the syntax of your goals, and now something is an objective and something is a key result. It is about the information you're getting with those OKRs and with those goals. So we are moving a company from all those lagging indicators like revenue and financial success into much more valuable leading indicators. And so instead, we are helping them set goals to that help them, for example, identify the constraint. So why are you, of course, you want to have more customers. Of course, you want to earn more money. That's at the end why you're in a business. But how do you get there? Maybe it is the lead flow. Maybe it is the revenue per customer. And then we dig deeper, and then we create trees where we then really identify the constraint. And then, of course, goal setting is easy. Like it's still relatively easy to that point. But you can set goals all day long, and if you don't have the habits and the rituals in place to actually achieve them, then you're like 95% of people that set a New Year's resolution, and by the time Valentine's Day comes, or latest my birthday, which is end of March, then most often people have forgotten their New Year's resolutions. And
Yes.
so we help them not only set better goals, but also to really install the habits and results rituals that you need to actually achieve them.
Achieve them, yeah. And
Mm.
and if you could really hone in on habits, Philip, like habits, you've always heard they take about 3 weeks to form a habit. Well, it might take 3 weeks to maybe form, but it doesn't mean it's embedded or solidified at a deeper level. That could be months.
100%. And the 3 weeks maybe work when you're alone and you don't have a ton of demands on yourself, right? And you can
Yes.
you can really hone in those 3 weeks on your new habit. Maybe you don't have kids, maybe you don't have much of responsibility, right? Then, and you're alone, then that might work. But if you're in an environment where you have to manage a team, and then you have to install that habit maybe for your team or maybe for your whole organization, then that can take a lot longer. And we typically work with organizations for 3 months at least. 6 months to 12 months is ideal. And then we tackle one habit after the other. And so the most important habit when you're setting a goal is, well, you actually want to look at it again. That's Mondays. So we used to call it Sunday calibrate, Sunday evening calibrate, but that wasn't too popular. Now it's Monday morning. Still, I recommend prepare your week on Sundays. It's a little life hack, but we call it now Monday calibrate. And so on Mondays, you want to really look at your goals. And sometimes it's that simple. Like it's that the focus and the attention that drives energy, right? And so as a team, we are creating that habit of in our Monday meeting, which if you don't have one, you might want to have one. So in the Monday meeting, we are looking at our goals and we make that a really, really simple habit. So that's the first side of the coin. And then the second super simple habit, and we're getting into more complex later, but the second really, really simple habit is what we call Friday celebrate. And on Fridays, you want to update your goals and you want to celebrate that progress. And so you can do that over a beverage of your choice. It doesn't have to be, but you can celebrate some momentum and some progress. And that's something, honestly, Germans are really, really good in the Monday calibrate, right? That's easy. But then the Friday celebrate is something that I had learned in the US, and it's something that is really, really powerful because you can create that momentum in your team, and then you start again on Monday. So those are the two most simple habits
Yeah.
that you should install for yourself and then for your team.
Well, I love that, and it's like one step at a time, right? We're not like trying to do everything all at once. That's where people become overwhelmed, frustrated, and then where they drop the ball. And yeah, we don't have to get you just got to do one thing and keep doing it, then layer in some other things on top of that. Now, I love that what you shared there. You know, if there was somebody like that's listening right now, whether it's on a personal level, whether it's in their business or at a business unit level, and obviously they're not where they want to be, like where would you, what would be the first thing that you recommend with what you've shared so far, where they start?
So, of course, any mother, your mileage might vary, right? It depends on where they are. If they have goals, if they don't have goals at all, then hey, set some goals. Definitely better than no goals. If they have goals but they don't achieve them, then well, what's the reason? The reason in 95% of cases when we talk to our clients is, well, the reason is you have too many, right? So you really need to cut down on the number of goals you have. And instead of having a laundry list of all the things that you wish you would do, which often gets very long, like we have worked with CEOs that came to us with their top list of 27 top priorities for the company that they need to achieve this quarter. Unrealistic, and you can't even remember. No one can remember 27 top priorities. And when I worked at Silicon Valley tech companies, we had so many P1s that they introduced P0s, right? The P0s that Trump, and then they had 27 P0s. It was ridiculous. So you have to cut down the number of goals. It's simple, but it's not
Yeah.
always easy. I get that. So, but it's really where you have to start. And then instead of setting them for a year or like a very long time horizon, those goals are great, but I much prefer one tangible goal for 1 month or maybe 1 quarter, but
Yeah.
make it really, really specific. So move from a vague and maybe, oh, yeah, I want to be happy. I want to increase our revenue. I want to earn money, right? All of those goals are fair, but they don't tell you really what to do every day. And so you want to move from something intangible to something really, really tangible. You want to move to something very focused and then to a very short time horizon. That's how I would start.
Wow, thank you for that. And we hope listeners, you're writing this down, go back and listen to this again, some valuable information. Again, I agree, what you said, Philip, there's got to be some of those smaller attainable goals. And can you also share, like, if you're breaking down these goals, like you have a big goal and then you can break it down into smaller attainable goals, maybe things that are in your control at that point, because usually things are more in your control if it's like in that immediate time frame versus something that's long out there, it may not be. How important is to prioritize, first rank and prioritize the activities or anything that's going to be necessary to go about achieving it? How important that is, because oftentimes I feel like I used to not do that back in the day. I do it today. Been doing it for a while now, but back in the day I did not do that.
So even before we prioritize any activities, we want to make sure that for every activity that we do, we are clear on the why.
Yeah.
So what is actually the needle that we are moving here? So it's so easy, and I'm guilty of that too. I'm a CEO of a small company. I have a million ideas every day. I want to make things happen, right? And then even I preach the methodology, and I should be very, very focused. But even I sometimes have this urge to tell my team, okay, drop everything. This is a great new idea. I want this to happen, right? Let's do this. And then thankfully, my team says, hey, Philip, that's probably not the best idea here. Or let's pause this for a while and let's prioritize and let's really be clear. Let's not get into activity for activity's sake, but let's make sure that every activity has an outcome attached to it that we are driving towards. Let me give you an example. So the goal isn't to create 50 blog posts for me. Right? Oh, we need blog posts on this, and we need some SEO, and then maybe some activity there. The goal is to get in front of actually the right client for us and make them interested in our products. So maybe writing 50 blog posts isn't the activity that's required. Maybe, well, going on a podcast like yours is maybe the better choice instead of doing something on our own blog that no one reads, right? So it's this, hey, let's not get into activity because we panic or because we're excited, but let's really make sure that we are clear on what are we trying to achieve and then go into activity. So that's how we typically prioritize. And then within those outcomes we're driving, we're trying to again be very focused. We can only do one or two a quarter, and that's really it.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's great. Thank you for sharing that. It's valuable information. And do you feel like with goal setting, I guess it's in the eye of the beholder, is there any particular types of technology or even doing it the old fashioned way, whether it could be an Excel spreadsheet or just let alone writing it down in a, like in a journal, notebook, whatever. What do you think feel are the best ways to kind of track goals and see how they connect from one small goal to another to lead to those bigger goals that we strive to accomplish?
Yeah. Depends on the size of the organization,
Yeah.
right? So if you really do it for yourself and only for yourself, or maybe for two, three, four, five people, then typically a spreadsheet or even
Yeah.
a
But
a,
like you're
doc- a
saying that
doc.
a huge Fortune 500 company, there's no way that's going to
There's
work.
no there's no way that would work, right? And that's
Yeah.
that's we partner with a software company called Workboard, fantastic piece of software that then makes it really easy to they use AI to help you draft good goals, and they also make it clear that make it easy to access all of those goals, which at a bbig large organization is another change that we introduce when it comes to goals, that everything is transparent. Because why should my goals or my professional goals, obviously, my personal goals, right? Those are private, but my professional goals and the ones of my team should be visible for everyone. Because then, as a company, we can actually work with our best hand, right? We can play the cards that we know of, and then that's just much more helpful than if everyone works on their little skunk projects.
Got it. Got
Yeah.
it. Wow. Great stuff. I love it. And with goals, talk about, I mean, a lot of times this is part of the SMART goals. Like, usually individuals use that, but companies, I guess, can also use it. The importance of measuring, because if we're not measuring, then obviously we don't know, we might know where we are, but we're not measuring, is it moving forward or are we still staying stuck? The importance and perhaps the frequency of measuring.
Yeah. So first of all, absolutely important. You can't really be successful nowadays. At least, I mean, maybe you can. I can't say that for sure, but I would say it's really, really difficult to be successful without measuring what you're getting out in
Hmm.
your business. And you want to make sure that, well, you have a certain input. That's your people, that's your time, that's your energy, that's your money. And that's creating some output. So some deliverable, some activity. But then is that actually creating more customers? Is that creating happier customers? And so, you want to measure that. Now, what happens very, very frequently is people go from they measured nothing to, oh, I heard I need to have more data. And then they go to a spreadsheet empire of and have a ton of metrics again, and it's sometimes hundreds of metrics, and then they're drowning in those metrics. So the important piece is, yes, absolutely, you should measure, but then you don't measure for measurement's sake. You measure because the measurements are changing what you're doing. So if a metric isn't actually changing what you're doing and how you're doing it, then it's worthless. So really focus on the ones that are driving your behavior. If you are measuring net promoter score, but you're not changing your product no matter what, and you're not changing anything on it, then maybe don't measure net promoter score. Maybe that's not really, really helpful. So only measure what actually drives change or drives behavior in your organization. And then to the frequency. Now, a lot of things are real time, and then you get maybe a ping when you go off course. That's ideal. But honestly, I don't love automation for those goals because as soon as that happens, you again forget it. You again, oh, it's automated, and now then there's a ping and there's another notification of 1,000 notifications I'm getting every day. And then that leads to nothing. We are setting goals because we want to drive behavior, sometimes ourselves and sometimes the team's behavior. And that happens best if we measure often manually once per week. So instead of saying, just looking at a dashboard, I am even recommending our clients sometimes, at least for the important goals, do it manually, copy and paste a number from somewhere to somewhere, or type it in manually, because then you will actually think about it. And that ideally happens once a week.
Got it. Nice. Nice. I love it. And then I guess, anything else that you would love to add from, what you do best here, or, another thing I was going to ask, like the importance of relevancy, obviously, and being time oriented, because obviously we don't set certain time constraints, then these things could go on and on and on. And again, of course, you can't finish what you can't control, but nonetheless, you're striving to meet it at a certain time frame.
Yeah. And for me, the most typical time frame that we recommend is a quarter. So 12 weeks.
Yeah.
In Europe, that's about 45 working days. In the US, about 60. So it's it's an overseeable time frame, right? It's something you can plan on. It's typically the right line of sight. So you can plan for it. And when with annual goals, we see it so often, it's often wishful thinking. So it's too often that, oh yeah, we will hire this person and then we will meet this magician, and then by the end of the year we will see that hockey stick, right? And then everything will be great. But in a quarter, you have to basically work with what you have. And so the goals become a lot more accurate. So at least after some time. And then on relevancy, and we call that the town hall test. So if this is an important goal for you, then it should probably be important enough that you would talk about it in a town hall to the rest of the organization.
Yeah.
And so if it doesn't pass that test, then maybe it's not the most important goal.
Yeah. Wow, this is just great information, for organizations from Fortune 500 to SMBs and all types of business, even individuals. We would love to expand further on this topic again on a future show with you, Philipp. I wish we had another half an hour to go through more, because I know there's so much more we could talk about in this. But I want to make sure that the audience has an opportunity to connect with you. Anything that you'd like to provide them or what you're up to, share your contact information. And first, we want to thank you for taking the time out of your busy schedule to be with us here on Business Influencers, and also on the behalf of our Touch of Life Foundation team.
Fantastic. Pleasure. Thanks for having me, and thanks for the opportunity. And yeah, if you're curious about OKRs, we have a great guide on OKRs and a free course that my colleagues recorded. And so if you're curious, check it out on wave9.com. Of course, it's free. And if you're curious afterwards and you have questions, reach out to me.
All right. And we'll make sure, everybody, that, again, all that information will also be here in the show notes as well. And again, we highly encourage you to reach out to Philipp. If for any reason you reach out to us, we'll also connect to you as well. So again, and we want to thank you, listeners, each and every week joining us here at Business Influencers. Again, we are committed each and every week bringing in subject matter experts like Philipp in to help raise your level of success and influence to the next level, whether if it's you and an individual or your business, regardless of size. It's about influence, the impact that we have on other people to draw their own conclusion to now do something that's going to serve them to the top and to continue that process with others. Again, if you'd like to see a future show that we haven't covered in terms of content, feel free to reach out to us here at Chris@ChristopherSalem.com. We'd be more than happy to take your information and look at a future show in and around that topic. And again, we want to thank Philipp again for being here, and we'll definitely make sure to have him here on a future show. Till then, everybody, have a great rest of your week, and we will see you next week. Take care.